These are the 10 MetaQuest settings that you want to turn off as soon as possible. So let's dive right into it. And the first one is the automatic update feature. Because while you might think that this would make sure that your headset always has the latest and greatest software running on it, Meta has sadly had some major problems with their update releases over the past years. And some of these were even so bad that a lot of Quest users had their headsets completely bricked after installing their latest patches. So instead, it is highly recommended to now just update your Quest manually after a new OS version has been out for a while. And to be able to change this, you want to go into your settings and look for your General tab. Now in here, just click on Software Update and simply turn it off, which will still give you a pop-up to quickly confirm once more. Now, don't forget to also turn off the other ones in here, because otherwise it will still update it automatically when you either power your headset down or when you put it in sleeping mode. But that gets us to number 2, which is your boundary sensitivity. And as you probably already know, when you are moving around inside VR, then you will quickly start to see a blue grid that warns you about your surroundings. However, by default, this grid shows up very quickly, even if you're actually quite far away from these objects in the first place. And that can kind of break your immersion altogether, especially when you're playing a VR game inside a small space. So, to fix this problem, you want to go to your Environment Setup tab and click on Boundary. Now in here, you will see a slider on the bottom that is by default set somewhere in the middle. But if you turn this all the way down to the left, then you will see that this blue grid will still show up when you get close to your walls, but then a lot later than normally. And while it is possible to turn off this grid completely if you have your developer settings unlocked, this wouldn't be recommended since it can quickly cause you to run into your surroundings without noticing it at all. However, just know that the option is there if that is what you're looking for. And then number 3 is the link feature. Now this setting is normally turned on so that you can play PC VR games by streaming them from your computer. Although most Quest owners just use their headset in standalone mode, while others might play some Steam VR games every now and then. But unless you use your headset only for PC VR, then keeping this setting on permanently will waste a lot of your battery and drain your headset even quicker than it already does. So just turning this on whenever you do play PC VR games can save you a bunch of juice in the long run. And to do this, you can find it in the dedicated link tab with a switch that is right at the top. And while we're here, we also directly get to number 4, which you can find right below it, known as the remote desktop feature. Because while in one sense similar to the link setting, the remote desktop feature will also let you connect your computer, but then with the goal of showing your real-life display inside of virtual reality. But just like before, while this is sure an awesome feature to have, a lot of people don't use it on a regular basis, or might use a complete different dedicated app like Virtual Desktop to do both the productivity and PC VR gaming in one. So to save yourself another couple extra minutes of charge, just turn these simply off and only put them on whenever you need them. And number 5 is the narrow vision while moving. Now, when you get your Quest headset for the first time, then you might notice that when you walk around in your home space with your controller, that this black circular bar starts to show up on the outside of your screen. And this is mainly done to prevent new users from getting motion sick. However, a lot of people don't have any motion sickness at all, or even get used to it quite quickly after being in VR for just a couple of times. So in that case, you can turn this off so that you can finally see your entire screen whenever you want. But this feature can be a bit tricky to find inside your settings. So you want to go to the movement tab and now scroll all the way down from within here. And then you will see the so-called comfort settings that you can either change by turning the narrowing down while still keeping it on, or completely turning it off with the switch below it. And on number 6 is the display and sleep mode. Since often when you take off your headset without shutting it down, then your Quest will still stay on for quite some time before it shuts down automatically, and sometimes this won't happen at all. But as a result, the next time that you want to use it, you might be surprised that your battery is now completely empty. So to prevent this, go to your General tab and look for the power button. And here, you want to make sure that the display off time is set to a maximum of 1 minute or lower. And even more importantly, is the sleep mode feature underneath it that gets activated as soon as this happens. And in this case, you want to set it to a maximum of 15 seconds and not any longer. So in this way, your headset won't waste any energy and will be ready to go whenever you want to jump back into it. But before we move on to the next 4 most important settings that you really don't want to miss, let's first have a quick word from the company that made this video possible. Because none other than Cat VR, who are known for creating VR treadmills that look like they come straight out of Ready Player One, are once again taking virtual reality to the next level. Because while we are normally limited by the boundary system inside our VR experiences, it is Cat VR that has created these VR treadmills that let you run and jump without any limitation. And since their most recent version, which is known as the C2 Plus Enhanced, is compatible with every VR headset that you can think of, it is also often considered as the dream upgrade for any VR user. And they even go so far that it has things like haptic feedback built into it, as well as a vehicle hub, which will make it feel even more realistic when you're racing on a track or flying through the sky. And as a cherry on top, you can also use the code VRelity for a whopping $130 off on your entire purchase. So for those who are interested, I'll leave a link in the description below. But that gets us to number 7, which is the notifications. Because as you might have experienced already, while you are recording some gameplay, streaming, or maybe even just enjoying some alone time in virtual reality, then getting a bunch of notifications from your socials or other applications can be really annoying. Luckily, there is an easy way to get rid of these. Now, just go to your notifications tab and scroll down until you see the application list. And in here, you can choose to switch them off either per app or just all together. And that gets us to number 8, which are your Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Now, do keep in mind that for a lot of functions, such as installing apps or playing online games, you will always need a Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connection for this. But there are also a bunch of single-player experiences that after installing them will not require any Bluetooth or Wi-Fi connection at all. So simply turning these off can often give you a couple of minutes of extra playtime. But while talking about saving your battery, the biggest and easiest increase that you can make is with number 9, and that is by turning off your mixed reality. And somehow, a lot of Quest users actually don't know about this. But when you are using your mixed reality mode, your battery literally drains twice as fast as normal. So, if you aren't playing a mixed reality experience, then just switch off the pass-through and use your normal virtual environment instead. And if you don't know how to change between these, then a quick way is to hold your index finger and thumb together for a couple of seconds, and then just select the button on the bottom left corner. Or, an even quicker method is to double tap the outside of your headset twice to switch between these two modes instantly. But maybe the most important setting to turn off is number 10, known as spatial data. And while this is often sneakily turned on by default for most headsets, this spatial data feature basically shares your camera view and environments with Meta directly. And this data, they can technically use however they see fit. So besides this being a massive concern when it comes to your privacy, Meta is probably also not the company that you want to give all this data to. So to turn this off, go to your privacy and safety tab and look for the device permissions. And here, make sure to toggle off the location and enhance spatial surfaces. But that is not all. Because besides all these settings, there are also a lot of important things that you should never do with your Quest 3 and Quest 3S. So click on the video that you see on screen right now to make sure you prevent these big VR mistakes. And of course, stay awesome.